Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Hey, it's the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston with defeatyourcravings.com, and I'm here with
Dr. Howie Jacobson from AskHowie.com.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Excellent. Happy to hear what you got going on today.
Well, I have a quote, which is one of my quotes, and it was a hard-won quote after years and years and years of struggle myself and then working with 2,000 clients and watching them struggle. And the quote is, and I'd like to know what you think about this once I explain it, that happiness is not nearly as sustainable as contentment. Happiness is not nearly as sustainable as contentment. The explanation is that our food monsters, our inner food monsters, often take advantage of us by suggesting that junk is the only path to happiness, which is categorically untrue. Fresh air, the ocean, the mountains, pets, children, friends, pictures of happy memories, exercise, a cold shower, a warm shower, work well done, games, art, music, theater, reading, culture, singing, dancing, writing, scrapbooking, decluttering, healthy unplanned food, helping others, movies, comedy, spouses, hugs, other types of physical contact, puzzles, hobbies, and about 100 other things can make us happy. And it is important to have this list at the ready when the urge for junk food hits. That said, there's an additional strategy against which the food monster can't defend. You can tell your food monster that you simply don't strive to be happy all the time as a primary goal. See, in the modern fast food world of convenient and lazy calorie acquisition, we're taught that constant happiness is both desirable and achievable. But we're designed to only temporarily experience extreme happiness so that we're motivated in short bursts to do what's necessary for survival: hunt, gather, eat, and mate. All of these hits of neurotransmitter elevation are short-lived. It's not natural to feel happy all the time. Happiness is not nearly as sustainable as we wish. It's not that you can't ever be happy, nor that you shouldn't strive for it. The idea is to make it a secondary pursuit, prioritizing other more sustainable states of mind. One of the most sustainable is contentment, defined as a sense of satisfaction, peace, and ease with your life. Contentment relies more on an intellectual and therefore more stable assessment of your reality. For example, I feel content knowing I'm making a difference in the world for overeaters. I feel content that I've given my cat Theo a great life and that I contribute to my nephew's well-being. Because contentment relies on an intellectual assessment of your world, it's also easier to steadily build on it. I can survey my readers and write another book to fill gaps in meeting their needs. I can research the care and feeding of an older cat and provide Theo with an ever more stimulating environment. I can read books on helping children transition into adulthood at my nephew's age and provide them with a stronger foundation and more support. Contentment is a solid base from which you can grow over time. Happiness, in contrast, relies much more on unstable and unpredictable states of physical and emotional stimulation. Paradoxically, because contentment can be steadily grown, it progressively produces more moments of happiness. In contrast, the pursuit of happiness as a primary goal leads to the eternal pursuit of more to achieve that initial high associated with the original junk food experience, or chasing the dragon in addictive parlance. This old man learned the hard way that the pursuit of contentment is the higher good, paradoxically leading to more happiness and less suffering than the direct pursuit of happiness itself. Tell your food monster that happiness is not your primary goal and watch it squirm. Happiness is not nearly as sustainable as contentment. So that's my quote of the week, and I'm curious if you have thoughts about it.
I do. I love that. And, as you were talking, I was kind of trying to figure out, like, what's my definition of happiness? And I can't remember where I get this from, but it's kind of a mathematical formula, something like, reality divided by expectation.
Okay. Wow.
I'm happy when what's happening is better than I would have predicted. And the trouble with that is that my predictions are constantly updating. So if I have, this most amazing dessert, I was with some friends and my wife in the south of France, and south of France is like the food capital of the world. So you go to this place and like we're all excited for the meal. And it's these amazing flavors and fresh cooked and fantastic technique and beautiful plating and gorgeous settings. And by the third day, I was like, I just want to get like a supermarket salad because I was used to it. Okay, so now I'm going to like break my food rules because I want something richer. I want something with cream. I want something with more sugar or chocolate. I need to go simpler. I had acclimated to this like culinary peak experience. So in order to be happy, I needed more.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I have a friend who's a behavioral economist who just published a real fun newsletter on this called One Who Dies with the Most Toys Wins.
Right.
The same idea that if you're trying to maximize happiness, it's actually a recipe for misery. You always need more. You always need to be happier than the people around you or whatever reference point you've set. And you miss out on all the things that might make you happy that you're not even noticing because your frame of reference is based on your predictions based on the past.
I love it. Exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm trying to get across. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would have thought 30-year-old Glenn would probably not would have told you were crazy if you had said, one day you will get great satisfaction out of caring for an aging cat.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Yes. Unfortunately, youth is wasted on the young, and we don't know these things when we're younger, right?
But it's beautiful that we can't predict it.
Because
that's where these moments, these transcendent moments come from. Like, I didn't go for this. Life gave me this. Or a poppy growing by the side of the road. It's not part of our map, the treasure map, where we think the X is for happiness. But the X is on a whole landscape, and there's like beauty everywhere.
I love it, buddy. I knew you'd have something to say about this.
How do you talk to your food monster about happiness? Because it's not just your food monster. Like, we live in a culture that prioritizes happiness. And as my friend Matt wrote in the newsletter, that's like the basis of economics is this idea of, maximizing resources under constraints. So like the goal is to die with the most toys.
Right. I mean, I tell my food monster that happiness is not my primary goal. I'll often tell it that I'm willing to sacrifice short-term pleasures to pursue more long-term pleasures that are more meaningful and sustainable. I will tell it that happiness is usually short-lived and that I'm more than willing to experience it as a byproduct of the things that I'm striving for, which are more important to me. But it's not my first goal. Happiness is not my first goal. I don't know if I'm saying more than I said before, but that's about as far as I got with it.
What are the squeals?
Essentially, your food monster says, but it will taste so good. It'll be orgasmic. You can't live without that forever. And, it'll be so good. It's so good. It's so good. The reason this works is, well, why does it have to be good right now? Why can't I pursue other goods? Why does maximizing my physical pleasure at all times have to take precedence? I don't live based upon that principle. I live based upon how can I make my life tomorrow better than today? And I live based upon what kind of a difference can I make in the world? And how can my life have meaning? And a lot of times the pursuit of pleasure at all costs is an obstacle in the way there.
Nice.
Should we stop it there?
Sure.
I feel like I should say something more upbeat to stop it.
Okay.
Okay, let's go eat some chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, everybody. I'm just kidding. Okay, very good. Very good. Thanks, Howie.
Cool, yeah.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.